I took a break from Fortnite in December. I was starting to get a little burnt out on the game and I needed a palate cleanser. And after a month of grinding Unbeatable, I have finally returned to Fortnite. At the same time that they remove Shockwaves from the game. You know, maybe I shouldn't have come back. Shockwaves have always been a mainstay in Zero Build for years now, almost always being in rotation even if they're not available in build mode. Mobility is not as important in build mode, because if you're in a bad spot or get caught off by surprise, you can just build a skyscraper to defend yourself. But in Zero Build, mobility items are so much more important, and now that one of the most versatile ones is out of rotation, the game just feels off.
Crash pads!
I hear you cry out in the distance.
Just use crash pads!
Okay, sure. Shockwaves are not the only mobility item, and crash pads can be useful. Now, where are they? Where do you pick up crash pads? Because I'm not seeing any. From what I can tell, crash pads have the same spawn rate that Shockwaves used to have, which were lowered in recent updates, and now it feels nearly impossible to find any. To show you how rare they are, here is a list of every item I ran into in one game. Notice, 0 of them were crash pads. Let's look at the next game, and oh hey look, we found 2 crash pads. That's an improvement. I now have 2 whole crash pads to use the entire game. The next game, I find 0. The game after that, again, 0 crash pads. Trying to find a basic necessity like a mobility item should not be this hard. And even when I do find crash pads, there's not enough to go around. I normally play in squads, and all of those guys need mobility items as well. And when you can only find 2 crash pads in a whole game, that doesn't split well between 4 people. I know they also just added in this new wingsuit, but like, I'm not really the biggest fan of this thing. They're mostly meant to get you long distances, and they're not really used for closing distance in a fight.
They changed it. I forgot. Behind us. Okay, back.
So the only movement options I have to choose from is an item I don't like or a rare item I won't always find. And having a low mobility season is so slow. Now, there is a way to view low mobility as a good thing. Some people have been saying that removing shockwaves makes the game more strategic. By not having shockwaves, you are now forced to think differently. You can't just rush in guns blazing. You need to be more methodical and think outside the box.
Boss? Yes. Aw, man. Still got him.
I can't fucking get over there.
Come over here to Austin.
Doesn't matter, got him. I'm awesome.
Kill him with a grenade?
Yes. Shockwaves have been around for so long that people have started using them like a crutch to get them out of situations. But with that being said, how can you say that this is more strategic when I'm losing options? Look at this. Storm is closing around this house, and the last 2 players are already there. In this situation, a shockwave would allow us to get closer fast, but none of us have any mobility items like that other than the wingsuit, which isn't really helpful in this situation. We have no choice but to walk up on this team because we don't have any other option. We have 0 ability to try and close this gap other than trying to sneak up as best we can, losing a lot of health in the process. It takes 3 of us jumping all over the place to kill one of them, and the other guy positioned himself poorly. That was so much more difficult than it needed to be. If that last fight wasn't a 2v4, we would have lost it because we couldn't position ourselves in a better spot. What about this fight? We are in ring, but we start getting shot at by another team. We take this building as the only cover we have. And with no real way to close the distance with the other team, the fight starts to drag. And then in the middle of our fight, Storm starts to shrink to the other side of the map, screwing us over. Are we just supposed to lose here? We can't close the distance to the enemy, and I am forced to abandon my friends because I am the only person who could find a mobility item. Having Shockwaves would have given us more options here. How is not having them more strategic? Shockwaves are an incredibly useful item to get in close and catch players off guard. They're not just used to get an easy out. You can use them to play aggressive and get in the enemy's face, or at least move into a better spot if you're caught off guard. How can less options be more strategic? Now, we can't talk about Shockwave's recent removal without talking about runners. The reason these things were removed in the first place is because the community as a whole decided to protest against people overly abusing mobility items. I've seen some people specifically blame Nick for this, but people have been saying this for a while now. And as we all know, players protesting about balance has zero consequences whatsoever. Listen, I am not going to defend runners. Some people take these things too far. Fans of the channel will remember Mr. Shockwave from a while ago, a person who used 11 shockwaves in one encounter. That is insane. Players who abuse mobility items are such a pain to fight against. I get it. It is not satisfying getting a player low and then not killing them. I get that. I've complained about that exact thing before in other videos. But there comes a point where you have to stop blaming the other person and start blaming yourself at least a little bit. Watch this clip. We're in trios and we just eliminated 2 people off this team. There's only 1 guy left. I see them and I do 239 damage before then doing another 10. This guy is literally at 1 HP. But this person has a wingsuit, and after cutting off line of sight from me, the person is then able to get away. Am I going to sit here and blame the wingsuit for this? No, not at all. I made a misplay. I failed to deal enough damage to get the kill. I switched to my shotgun here when I probably should have switched to my AR, and even if I was in damage range, I still missed. I can sit here and blame the wingsuit all I want. In reality, my failures are the reason I couldn't kill this player. Now, what about this reload clip where I'm sitting in a bush? Thrilling content, I know, but a player walks by and I do 180 to them. If this was BR, this person would not have the capabilities to get out of this situation. They would just be dead. However, Reload has grapplers, and they are able to get away from this. Sure, this sucks for me, my free kill got away, but think of this from the other person's perspective. They suddenly got shot at by someone out of nowhere, losing all of their health, and all of this just because they didn't check the bush first. Do they deserve to lose the whole game because of this one mild oversight? No! They repositioned, healed up, and they ended up winning this game because they could recover. Again, if this was BR, this person would not have had a chance to get out. How can you see this and then tell me that less options is more strategic? Also, I've had plenty of instances where I tried to shockwave out of a fight and then got punished for doing it. Shockwaves don't make you invincible. Like, I get that shooting a moving target is hard, but it's not impossible. I understand that runners are annoying, but dude, sometimes you just gotta let them go. The ring will close eventually, and they can't run forever. Patience, young grasshopper. The better player will prove themselves eventually. By removing shockwaves, yes, players can no longer easily escape a fight. But that comes at the cost of making it harder to start a close range fight, making it harder to position yourself in a fight, and heavily punishing players who get stuck with max range zones. How is this a fair trade-off? Why do I have to suffer because someone else is playing like a bitch? If you are someone who truly thinks that shockwaves don't provide any value other than an easy escape, during your next match, I want you to look around and see every situation you could have used a shockwave in. Every situation that's not just running away. I could have gotten closer here. I could have been able to get a better angle here. Shockwaves have so much more versatility than people think. And having them removed, it feels the same as if they removed shotguns out of rotation. Yeah, there's other weapons, you can still get kills, but the fundamentals just feel off. But hey, That's just me. Like I said, I haven't played too much of this season. Maybe Chapter 7 has always been this slow. I don't know. And there are plenty of other mobility items that Fortnite can add to replace Shockwaves. They're not the end-all be-all. Things like grapplers, impulses, or crash pads that people can actually find. Shockwaves are not an end-all movement item. And at the end here, I do just want to say that this is just my opinion. Feel free to disagree with anything I say here. Maybe I'm wrong and just need to adjust my playstyle or something, but for now, I'm just going to try to enjoy this chapter as best I can, even though it feels so sluggish to fight another player. For now, I'll just be waiting. And waiting, and waiting. And waiting, and waiting, and waiting, and waiting.